Okay, good evening. I thought I had everything ready, and then I realized I don't have my links open. But, yeah. So, it is the... I don't know what week of May this is. But I'm just going to be, right off the bat, I think this is going to be one of the shorter music streams. I have 9 releases today. 9. That's it. Normally I shoot for 10, and even that was kind of beyond the realm of feasibility. And I am going to be completely honest, and you might be able to tell that from the links in the description below. But of the 9 releases that we're going to be talking about this evening, or that I'm going to be talking about this evening, that we're going to be listening to, 7 of them are EPs. Last week I mentioned that because of the May holidays, the release schedule for May was kind of thin, and so I was going to be going back and looking at April albums, and to be fair, I did do a bit of that, and I probably could have gotten through a few more. I was going back and revisiting some of the first quarter music to try to sift through some of that. And I've gotten through part of it, but I think the big thing is that we've had 2 Fridays in May thus far, and it's been very slow, which is nice. I'll be, it's fair. Like I said, give me a chance to go back and listen to some of that other music from the first quarter, and then also it's given me a chance to go through and listen to some releases from April that I might not otherwise have. But also just going through a lot of the music from April, there were a few albums that I was kind of excited by, or I thought that I was going to talk a little bit about even just this week, and I've been listening to them recently and some of them stuff, and I might actually talk about them in the coming week. We'll see. But there just hasn't been a lot. EPs are really easy. I always, the thing with EPs is that it's usually it's under 20 minutes worth of music, which means it's a very tight, cohesive thing. In a lot of situations, we're talking 4, 5, maximum 6 songs for the most part, and so it's really easy to throw together a good EP because there's not a lot there. It's very tight. If you have an EP that's not very good, then that's maybe a bigger issue at play. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is just the week that we're about to get into, if it's a situation where May is slow in the first half here, with the first 2 Fridays being connected to the May holidays, and so there's just not being really many serious releases, or if this is a situation, and I think this is partly the case because going back and looking at a lot of the April stuff, even though we had some really good music in April, right? The last 2 weeks in a row, we've had some really good releases, and we do have some good releases here too. I don't want to pretend like that's not the case. Just it's a lot of EPs. So, but I do feel that, at least based on where we are in 2026, that 2026 is just a less strong year when it comes to musical releases overall, and that's just kind of the nature of, that's just reality. Now, I mean, could that situation change in the coming half of a year? Yeah, but for now, that's just how it is. But I'm still sifting. I'm still pulling stuff out. And you know what? Sometimes EPs are good too. I will also let everybody know we have 4 metal EPs in a row here at the beginning. So just sort of keep that in mind. Beyond that, things switch up quite a bit. But it's just that's the other thing too. There haven't really been many major metal full-length releases this year. Been a lot of EPs, which is kind of pretty regular. But let's just get into it, shall we? Okay, so we are starting off with the EP here, Mogila Dom, which is by the group. All the Russians joke that it is CEREBRO, which is the Russian word for silver. But seeing as these are Latin letters, I'm actually going to go with the CEREBRO pronunciation, which I think is the correct one. Anyway, this is metallic, beatdown, hardcore. Last week I featured an EP from a group called Embers, and I said that they were similar to Knocked Loose, and I think that you can definitely make that parallel again here, but here the hardcore sound is a bit more pronounced. I think I personally prefer Embers from last week to CEREBRO here. And I think it's mainly because this group out of Kazan, I'm like not a huge fan of the lyrics and some of that stuff, but if you can't understand the lyrics, then it's probably okay. The vocals might grate a little bit. Anyway, if you like heavy stuff, then you're probably going to find a few tracks here that sort of float your boat. So let's go. Okay. Yep. There's definitely the metallic aspect to the hardcore. I mean, like just the kind of but that beatdown hardcore is kind of the core sound here. The core sound of the hardcore sound. So yeah, that's kind of it. I'm not gonna with EPs. I'm gonna try to do a better job of not featuring like large swaths of the release. I feel like, especially with metal, it's usually pretty clear what the sound is from one specific track. So that's what I'm going to go with. And I think that that's a pretty accurate. The first track there is a pretty accurate representation of what you are going to get on this little EP. So yeah, that is the EP Mogila Dom from the group CEREBRO. Not CEREBRO. CEREBRO? I can't even, my Russian's off tonight. I don't know. It's a weird one. The evening is, not the release. Now, up next, again, we're still in metal. This is the EP Light from the East by the group, and I'm going to probably butcher this, Ojuur, maybe. This is like death metal, groove metal, groovy death metal out of Yakutsk. And the group sings in the Yakut language, and they utilize throat singing, which is one of those kind of Central Asian or like Siberian forms of singing, which I feel like became pretty popular, at least in the metal community, oddly enough, a few years back. So maybe you've heard it before. I'm sure I featured it in other releases as well. And yeah, I always appreciate when we get releases from the more, like the native languages, the native languages of the various peoples from the interior of Russia, right? Obviously, we get a lot of Tatar music, because Kazan and Tatar is a quite popular, or a quite widely spoken language, I guess is what I'll say. But I don't know if I've featured a language, or I don't know if I featured a release in Yakut at this point in time. Maybe, but anyway, it's nice to get that, especially like in the metal community. I do like that. That is one of those things. Pop music usually does a pretty good job of it too. Obviously, they all do. But anyway, metal tends to be very formulaic, so getting little bits and pieces, little variations of the same thing, it's appreciated. Karosik, welcome. Badonkadonk. It's always a much appreciated word. And yeah, the Who is the group that I was thinking of. Thank you. That is the group that I think really brought the throat singing into the public consciousness. I will say too that the death metal sound on this release is more on like the second track, and that this has more of a like groove metal a la like anything connected to Max Cavalera, Soulfly, for example. I think, okay, so Karosik, that is a good question, like with the metal scene and Turkic language countries. And I wonder if part of it is not connected to the prevalence of Islam. Not to say that Islam is against metal, but you just don't see as many metal groups coming out of like Islamic countries currently. So there might be something with that. That's just my guess. I know that there are. I'm gonna play a second track here. I know that there are metal groups from Islamic countries. There are Islamic metalists, but like this is a little bit closer to that death metal sound. But even here, it's not quite. And I think it's interesting too because like that use of the throat singing is maybe one of those things where people who don't normally like metal vocals could deal with this with that like not this so much, but throat singing is like a nice approach to vocals in metal where sort of more diehard metalists I think can be on board with it because it still sounds like kind of weird and out there and like kind of metally, but then for people who aren't big fans of this type of vocals, throat singing offers like another easy way in. So yeah, right. This is the debut EP. I probably should have mentioned that before, but yeah, really like different musical ideas happening across what is effectively 3 tracks, but all of them are done well. So I don't know if it's one of those things where this is one of those situations where they haven't quite found their sound yet, or this is just one of those things where it's a group of people got together to make some music and they don't really like care. They're just gonna make whatever music they want. Or maybe they're like gonna just combine it in something. Either way, it's all quite proficient. And yeah, it was nice. A nice short little listen as well. So that is the EP Light from the East by the group out of Yakutsk. Or not Yakutsk, out of Yakutia. No, Yakutia. Yakutsk is the city. That's my bad. Yakutia is the region. Anyway, it doesn't matter for most of you. Yeah, the name of the group is Ojuur, Ojuur, Ojuur. Okay, moving on. We have the EP Prolog. Oh God, I hate udarenia in Russian. I can just never. It's like it's one of those things. I feel like I'm getting worse at it. Honestly, in English it's prologue, but in Russian, prolog. It's gotta be on the first O. Also, the website that I use for checking is not working, which is super great. Anyway, this is from the group Kniga, samозванца, and this is metallic post-hardcore. Quite an experimental streak, not gonna lie. It's not like just straight up metal music. This is one of those releases where there's a lot more going on. Partly, one of the reasons this did get some attention too from the metal community because one of the members of a group, N Tesla, which I haven't talked about on these streams. The last time they released an album was back in 2024, but I did really like that one. It's a post-metal group, N Tesla. You check them out too. One of their members is in this project as well. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Also, really good album artwork. You know? That's what I meant when I said kind of a little bit, like, it's not just straight up metal. They have a lot of those back and forth, right? Use of dynamics, playing with your expectations. Prolog. Why would I think it was on the first? I'm such an. Yeah. I don't want to go too loud, so if I need to go louder, just let me know. I can bump it up a little bit more. I'm gonna bounce to the second track. I know there are 3 tracks. So I'm effectively like featuring or highlighting most of the release, but so I think a lot of the, like, if you actually boil down what this is, it is basically post-hardcore, but it's just like a really metalized version of post-hardcore, which isn't necessarily new or original, but it's also not, like, I feel like a super common one. Yeah, no, obviously. Again, I can go up a little bit more too, if necessary. I don't want to like get super, super loud though, so. but it's just it's honestly like a really nice release in the sense that it does have these. It's I don't know. It's like the thinking man's metal type of thing where it's not just a buckle up where we're going for a ride type thing. The tempo shifts, the dynamic shifts, the just the atmospheric shifts. It's not too loud. Okay, great. Obviously, too, there's like there's a story connected to it about like doubting, but you know, it's kind of like most albums have some sort of idea behind it, and when you start reading press releases and ideas behind albums, you kind of stop paying attention to them at a certain point in time because most of the time they're pretty similar in one way or another. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, really solid EP. I don't know if this is going to become a new project. Or this is just a side thing that the guy from N Tesla is doing while we wait for the next N Tesla album. I have no idea. Regardless, it is definitely, as I like to say, worth the price of admission. 13 minutes. It's really like you're not losing anything with it. You're only winning. It's a gain. Everybody wins. That is the EP Prolog. I was way off on the stress. There was like a 50-50 choice, and I got it wrong. The EP is Prolog, and the group is Kniga, Samозванца. Really fantastic album artwork, though. Very simple, but still, it works. It feels kind of like a product of an earlier time, too. And I want to say, yeah, I don't know. Anyway. The last metal EP before we move on to some other stuff. And I'm sure for some people that is a big sigh of relief that they are breathing. This is the group Equilibrium Falls. We'll talk about them in a little bit or in a second. The EP is Внутри, пустоты. Now, before I play this, I do want to, I guess I'll talk about Equilibrium Falls now. Equilibrium Falls is actually a group from St. Petersburg that has been pretty active. If you go on their Bandcamp or just on Spotify, you'll see that they've got a back catalog that goes back like at least a decade or so. And what's interesting is that in the past, all of their releases were in English. In fact, we can go there right now. You can see, right? I see Dead Inside, Inside the Void, Descend, Death Drifter. Like they did have some times where they would re-release or they would dual release. Where they would release like a single in English and in Russian at the same time. Anyway, this Внутри, пустоты it's not the full, it's obviously Inside the Void. You can tell that from the album artwork, which is exactly the same. It's just now it's red. And the full album in English had 11 tracks, whereas Внутри, пустоты there are only 5. But they've all been given the Russian makeover. And so I hadn't really heard of this group before, and so I didn't know any of this, and I just took this as a regular release, and I'm just going to continue that as such. It's if you want to triangulate the sounds, kind of like mellow death, metalcore, and deathcore, and there's somewhere in there. There's some stuff in here that feels a little bit more like older metalcore, like Unearth. There are some passages that might remind you of the old In Flames, and then they've got some breakdown stuff. I saw somebody compare them to Darkest Hour as well, which I feel like Darkest Hour, I know I'm in like the weeds when it comes to metal, but I feel like Darkest Hour has a little bit more of like the punk energy, which I didn't really get so much here. But anyway, I'll just play it. So we got start with the sort of beat down deathcore. Not really deathcore right now, it's just like that beat down sound, but All right, well, jump one more here. I mean, like, maybe I can see why maybe some people would kind of compare this to Darkest Hour with, like, the speed there in the drums, but I don't know. Feels like a bit of a stretch. Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, there's definitely some gent in here as well, too. That is fair. I think you get the idea. Yeah, it's a general gets on. It's well done. I mean, these are not people who are new to the game or new to the sound or anything at all. So I do feel like that is in their favor. Like they know what they're doing, and it's not like, I'm not going to say that it's anything new or exciting, but it's, to use a word that I used earlier, it is done proficiently. And, you know, that's honestly, I feel like a lot of times is sometimes more than a lot of metal bands are able to pull off. So yeah, that is the EP, which is kind of a new version, a shortened version in Russian of their album from 2024, I believe. But yeah, that is the EP Внутри, пустоты by the group Equilibrium Falls. Okay, now for everyone who is not a metal fan, you can unmute. If it's muted, you won't hear me say this. But anyway, you're safe, basically, kind of. Well, anyway, you're good. This is not metal. This is the group Light Operator with the EP Bошки. And it's kind of an interesting one. This is a debut EP. It's a trio out of Petersburg as well. This is instrumental electronic music. Has a lot of ambient noise, especially like in the background and in the little quiet sections. But there are live drums on the tracks. Kind of keeps things from drifting too far into the digital realm. But as when I was listening to this, partly due to the pacing and the overall energy, but also largely just due to the use of Bошki is a street name for M. I did not know that. That is good to know. Not that I need that information, but that's I don't think I've ever seen the word Bошki before. So I think it is. I think it's connected to heads. That makes more sense than the Mary Jane reference. We'll talk about it in a second. Because Light Operator, this is wash, spot, and beam. These are all three types of lights. You can actually see that. This is the, I believe this is the wash head for a light operator. Like for somebody who's doing lights at a concert, this would be a wash head. This is the beam head, and this is the spot head. So Bошки here is a reference specifically to the heads, not to Reefer Madness. Anyway, the overall energy, the pacing, honestly, Korosik, really nice catch. I didn't even bother to look into what it meant. I just figured it was some Petersburg thing. But there's a lot of gradual crescendoing, and so listening to this EP, I kept thinking of Mogwai. And I love Mogwai. Like, this isn't Mogwai. And this isn't attempting to be Mogwai either. But that's just like, there was something about it that reminded me a lot of Mogwai. It's just Mogwai with a bit of more of an improv or experimental aspect to it. But I gotta jump ahead just a little bit. I think this track in particular reminds me of something off of Mogwai's The Hawk is Howling. I gotta double check. I think it's The Hawk is Howling. Or Mr. Beast, maybe, is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, the Mogwai album in question was Mr. Beast, which is a weird album name in 2026 versus when it came out in 2006. That is fair. Yeah, the bass is pretty buried. That is fair. This probably would hit a lot differently if the bass had been sort of kept a little further forward in the mix. I don't know what that is. Like, I feel like that's just a really common thing though in music, where it's just like, the bass can go down there. And the bass is pretty far down there. And it feels like it is one of those things where, like, if they really had just, given it a slight little boost, it really would make this thing pop. But again, I don't know if anyone out there knows Mogwai and just like that sort of repetition, but like the slow build, the crescendoing. Like, this just has such a Mogwai vibe to it. But again, like, it's definitely, it's an electronic trio. It's more based on experimentation. I think there is definitely some improv going on at various parts as well too, but it's one of those, like, this is a debut. It's always the case with like debut EPs. Nothing might come of this, but I don't know. It's like I'm intrigued by the sound. It's relatively simple. It's relatively straightforward, but I feel like I could easily listen to like a full, 60-minute album of this type of. It's like, it's not quite jam music. It's not like super chill. You gotta be kind of in a specific mood for it, probably. But like, it's not quite relaxing. It's also not quite unnerving. It just exists in this weird zone. even the album artwork kind of fits into that. Like, it's pretty direct and straightforward, but then at the same time, there is something just with the chaotic mess of cables in the background. So, ultimately, probably is just experimental electronic music, or just experimental music, or whatever the hell it is. But I do think there's something there, and that first track, Wash, and honestly, Spot and Beam to a lesser degree, but like there's something there that just like kept bringing Mogwai to mind, which honestly, as odd as it might sound, in 2026, or really in recent memory, I just haven't been reminded of Mogwai very often, unless it's Mogwai itself, which is unfortunate. I don't know why. There's like a lot of post-rock out there. Post-rock version of dub. Yeah, that is kind of what it is. And I think there's something to it. That's actually a really good description, the post-rock version of dub. But I don't know if I've really heard any other groups doing that. So yeah, I'm all for it. I like it when slightly different things pop up. Oh, anyway, that was the EP Bошки by Light Operator. I clicked out of that way too fast. Whoopsies. Okay. Moving on. This is the Phase EP by, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Posleutra. Oh my god. Ебать, просто. Posleutra. I hate myself so much when Russian artists do this, where they like write Russian words with Latin letters and then like slam them together or do something, but it's just, god damn it. Posleutra is the name of this EP. Or no, it's the name of the artist. Okay. Aside from me being an idiot with that, I'm glad we all got to experience that together. Yeah, weather here at Moscow today, right? We got like, it's warm, it's sunny here. That might not be the case everywhere. And even if it is, there are always going to be people who just aren't going to be transforming into sort of chipper, smiling individuals. And this feels like kind of one of those releases. This is melancholic, lo-fi house is the best way I can describe it. Probably easier to just turn it on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in the summery mood myself, but I still like this. I still like this type of music. Oh, Karozik, I know I can still read Russian in Latin letters. It's just when I'm not expecting it, right? Because it looks like it could be its own word, or like a combination of words, and it's just like if there had been a space there, would not have even been a hesitation. Posleutra. I mean, I remember getting SMS messages from people where the number 4 is letter ch. I know that. I was here for that period of time too. So like I learned how to read Russian with Latin letters in my first years here. I still use that when I want to be kind of a dick online. I still use that to write to various like non-Russian speakers in Russian chats, because I know that the auto-translate won't work with it because it's just like a jumble of letters for the most part. So I know it's petty, but still. There's a little bit of that left field energy here too, with the vocal samples and could maybe even like this track has a little bit of old Moby energy too. I don't know if I ever had to deal with messages like that. I get I get it, but this is another this is just one of those things, and I will throw it out there. If I think, as is often the case with electronic music, I don't like highlight a lot of it if people are interested in electronic music. I do. I know you can't like just search for it on Spotify, but if you do search for We Lo-Fi, right? We Lo-Fi, that is a Russian electronic label that has a pretty solid roster, and usually are the types of artists that I feature here. So not everything, you know, it clicks with me, but yeah, this is also the debut EP. There's actually been a lot of debut releases this week as well too, so. No, yeah, that was my bad if I was downplaying a little bit. I probably got what's the word? A little upset with my postly. I don't actually know what he's saying in the vocal sample. It's whatever you want it to be. But yeah, it is. It's a nice debut. Short. Again, often can be the case where you want a little bit more, and that's always a good sign with an EP. This is debut. Also, posleutra here. If you actually look at what else they have on Spotify, they've only got, I think there's like 9 tracks total. So this is somebody who just really got started last year, if I remember correctly. And yeah, hopefully we will be getting a bit more out of them in the future. But yeah, this is the Phase EP from the group, or from the artist posleutra. Okay, I actually... well, no, I'm going to hit the next. This is the final EP. The final 2 are actually going to be full-length releases, but we'll talk about them in a second. This is the EP KVP, Культура, Временного, Проживания, culture of temporary residency, and the artist is Medoi the Maid. Now, there is this weird internet genre called Maidcore, and I don't want to get into it too far. It's actually one of those rabbit holes I personally don't want to go into myself too far, but Maidcore as a musical idea, or as like a musical sub genre, is this really weird. It's not very emo. That's the thing, right? Once we get into it, it's this weird metal guitar, instrumental rock. It's got a lot of electronic elements, and the music is pretty much exclusively made by solo musician dudes with a guitar and a computer. I honestly, the Maid thing, it's connected to some anime thing. Obviously, that's not even a question. But why they're maids, and I don't know. I don't want to dig too far into it because I feel like there's probably some kink behind it. Probably not, but anyway, it could have started like that. It's the internet. I feel like there's always something like that at the core. Anyway, the thing with Maidcore is that the music, like the releases that get connected to Maidcore, are usually pretty good. Even though it's just like a bunch of random weird dudes on the internet who use anime maids as their avatar, which is something that you would assume to be a red flag, but here we are. And this is a pretty good example of this. I feel like Medoi the Maid is one of the bigger Maidcore artists. I can't believe I've said Maidcore like 3 times tonight, but here we are. But yeah, this is fast. It's heavy. It's got elements on this that feel like they are ripped out of an anime soundtrack, but then you have things on tracks that feel like they are from a Doom soundtrack. I'm just going to play a little bit here. What do I want to start with? We'll start here. Yeah, right. Like what post-punk plus metal 8-string Maidcore. Sure. And then also gent as well. Like let's not forget gent. Can't have a metal anything in 2026 without gent. And here's the Doom energy. I'll be honest too, right? Like some of the Maidcore releases are way more chaotic than this. I mean, maybe that is where it came from, Karozik. That could very well be the case. But like, oh, then yeah, definitely share that with this guy. Okay. There are some compression artifacts here, right? You might not be able to hear it based on anything, but when I first listened to this, I was immediately like, I had a red flag. Like, just like, have this really weird kind of music going on, and with the weird avatar, I was like, okay, maybe this is AI music. But let me, I'm gonna transition real fast because I do need to open another tab. I forgot to open it before I started. But what I want to show you is that this is not, one of those situations. So let me go ahead and transition back over. Medoi the Maid has a YouTube channel, and I wanted to highlight this because I do think this is really cool, and I always like musicians doing stuff, and you can see streamed 3 months ago. He recorded this EP over the course of a week on live streams. And these are long live streams. You can see 6 hours. You know, like some of them are a little bit shorter, 2.5 hours, but 6 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. And it is literally just him going through the recording process, right? It's him like dealing with all of the little aspects, right? I'll leave it muted. And like, if you actually want to see the process of how like this stuff gets made, it's there. And I think that's pretty solid. So it is not AI made. It's made by an actual dude. It was recorded on a live stream over the course of a week that the guy was taking off from his studies for whatever reason. I think, if I remember correctly, I was reading something about it on one of his social media pages. And yeah, so I just like the whole thing. It's a very weird internet subgenre. It's a very niche type of thing, but musically it's well done. The fact that it was recorded live on stream, getting feedback from the people in the stream, and that it was done over the course of 7 days. Like, I don't know, it's just like a lot of interesting stuff there. It's very cool that it's all documented. You can go check out. You can see how it like works if it's one of those things that you're interested in. If you'd like to know how, it's obviously it's one guy. Like, how do you put all of that stuff together? And then you can see how that's all done. For people who don't know, which, like, I mean, I understand how you can record the guitars and stuff, but like, I can't imagine on the computer like sitting there and laying out those drum patterns. So yeah, it's good stuff. There's just like a lot of interesting stuff connected to it. And I will put a link again. Not that it's really difficult to find. You just search for Medoi the Maid on YouTube and you'll find his channel, and then you go to the live tab. But I guess I don't need to put a link to it. You guys can just find it yourselves if need be. But that is the EP KVP, Культура, Временного, Проживания, and the artist there is Medoi the Maid. Good stuff. And look into Maidcore if this is something that, sounds good to you. Because there are a number of other artists. I would even tell you to go check out Reddit. There's a whole Maidcore subreddit dedicated to different artists who do this, and the vast majority of them are Russian. So I don't know. It's one of those things I feel like I'm gonna have to explore more because I'm sure we'll come back to it in the future. But final two, we got albums here. We're gonna end it with this one is an electronic album. It's Still Alone by the artist It Alone. There's really not too much to say. This is a good electronic album. I like this. It feels. It's largely IDM. The IDM DNA is there throughout, and the first half of it is definitely more. It's definitely more IDM, but then there are moments that feel a lot closer to just typical house music or like an IDM take on house music, and then there are tracks that feel like something out of like a club cut, like this one, right? But even throughout the whole experience, the IDM thing is still very much at the core of it. So I'm just gonna like focus on that because there aren't that many vocal tracks or like, I don't know, like samples or whatever. Because it's just like vocal samples for the most part. But there aren't many of them across the album. The mixing on the vocal loop here too is really good. It does a nice job, especially if you have like better headphones on. it even has the front to back in it as well too. Machine the music? No, we're good. I mean, like, even in these janky headphones, I can still, like, the left to right is very well pronounced. And it's such a simple thing, but I mean, I could see a long drive to this type of music, but I feel like, man, back when I was doing long drives, it was a lot of like Lamb of God type stuff. The Slayer, Lamb of God. The new 56X DVD drive you got? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. I gotta. Are we not? Oh, it's not gonna. Oh no. Wait, where's the... One of the tracks has like a goofy video that comes with it. Was it Mistake? I don't know. I don't know. There was supposed to be a goofy video with one of these, but it's just not here now, so... Anyway, yeah, this is like... I do get the long drive type music. This is, what's the, oh God, what's the Modest Mouse reference I want to make? This is a long drive, or wait, is that Wilco? For someone with nothing to think about? No, that's Modest Mouse. Yeah, a long drive for someone with nothing to think about. That's, I'm losing my edge. Yeah, it's just like, you know, the thing with electronic music is that it can be, and this is the thing I really like about electronic music. It's the one thing I really like about IDM specifically, and that's why I keep kind of coming back to it, is that electronic music, because it's so untethered from the physical aspects of it. I know there's like a lot of planning and knowledge that goes into that, but like, it's so open, it's so flexible, and the music itself too can be applied to so many different things. It's, I don't know, it's just like it's got a level of relativity to it, right? Like, this could be, well, this is generally an upbeat song, but like, this is the type of music that you could kind of apply to almost anything and it would still work. And there's something like, you can't do that with most music, and like, that's, I don't know, when there are certain electronic albums, it's like I don't really know how to get the sound across. It's just one of those things where, like, when you hear it, you kind of, you get it, or you don't, and that's just not for you. But Yeah, really nice electronic album here from the artist It Alone, and the album is Still Alone? That was me doing the question mark there. Album artwork is a little on the bland side, but that's okay. We'll let it pass. It's clearly like a one-man project, so I know how difficult it is to do YouTube thumbnails, so I can imagine album artwork is kind of just like, oh, god damn it, I gotta do something now. But okay, y'all, I hate to break it to you. We're coming back to metal. You know this. You know, there's not even a question in anybody's mind looking at this album artwork that this is a metal album. This is 100% metal album artwork. It just like screams. It screams metal album, and it is. This is the project, the group. We'll see. We'll go with project. Aeonus, I think is how I'm going to go with. This is Омикрон Эридана is the name of the album. This is a one-man band out of Yoshkar-Ola. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Yoshkar-Ola, or is it? Yeah. Right? Man, I should actually know that. That's Yoshkar-Ola. Please be Yoshkar-Alo. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, I got it. Yoshkar-Ola. Yoshkar-Ola. I'm screwing it up. Anyway, I'm still screwing it up. I'm gonna bury myself deeper and deeper with this pronunciation. Yoshkar-Ola. Anyway, it's on the Volga. One-man band making, quote, space black metal with progressive instrumental influences. Although I would definitely argue there's a lot of tech death influence here as well. All of the music this guy makes, this is his third album too. I just want to call your attention to the track lengths. One dude, one-man project, making the shortest track is 9 minutes long. And yes, everything is space themed. He's done 3 albums. They are all centered around something connected to the cosmos. This album evidently has more sci-fi ambiance. So that's what he said in his description on Bandcamp. There are, and I will agree, there are some tracks, sections throughout the tracks that are often very floaty. I'll highlight these. I'm only going to highlight this final track, the 21-minute, 21-second long track. Just kind of bounce around through that so you get an idea of like how much is going on here. But this whole album is the artist's attempt to sonically, quote, construct the atmosphere of space research labs and complexes full of futuristic technologies. There ain't much to do in Yoshkar-Ola, so I guess this is what we do. On the whole, very fast, very intense, largely instrumental. There are actually a lot of lyrics. If you go on to Bandcamp and you can find the lyrics, they're there, and there'll be like this mass thing. But because these tracks are so goddamn long, it feels like there are just no lyrics on the vast majority of the album, which is hilarious too, because there are verses upon verses of them. It's just largely instrumental, black tech death with a sci-fi theme. And the sci-fi theme really kind of, you get it in those ambient sections and the use of electronic elements. This thing just, this is such a, I'm just gonna jump into it and we're just gonna bop around here for a second. Well, for more than a second, but. Right, so we open with that sort of giant, evil space laboratory. I actually want to jump quite a ways into this, and then we're going to skip around a little bit more. So I do want to highlight the Well, let me... Got like the synths in the background. Yes. Varg on Deep Space Nine. But like, here we're gonna get into that like sci-fi sound in just a second. Which, like, this is the type of break in the music that you cannot really allow yourself unless your tracks are, like, 20 minutes long. At which point in time, go straight ahead. Like, this is just it's a moment to kind of recombobulate yourself. But now we get into, like, there's a lot of prog metal influence in this, too, which probably shouldn't be a surprise with the track lengths either. Alright, but I gotta jump ahead a little bit. Here we go. Just follow me. Here we go. Again, we've had like how many tempo shifts at this point in time? The question is it an evil cat? Genetically altered space cat? I mean, like, you can kind of understand how this would be like one big song, but it's hard to take in, even when you're listening to it in one go. One-man band. He got his wife to help with some of the female vocals. That's it. That's it. Ah, well, yeah, that would make sense. That is what the cat would do. The riffing? There's that tech death that I was talking about too, like it's kind of prog death. I don't know. It honestly doesn't matter. Like, this is really goddamn good, though. That's the thing, right? Also, this was recorded, I mean, obviously over a number of years, but on the Bandcamp page too, if I remember correctly, it's one of those things where, like, he actually re-recorded whole tracks, like he had them kind of finished and then went back and just, like, redid them completely, so... This is where you get the giant intergalactic circle pit. You gotta open it up real wide for the 6-arm motherfuckers. Like, not only does the one-man band thing blow me away by this, but just the fact that you could record such massive tracks and, like, somehow keep an idea of where the hell you were as a single person is, like, just wild to me. Like, I don't know what else I can say about this album that has not been shown just, like, by jumping around through this one track. It's really good. This actually came out in the beginning of April. And it's one of those where I listened to the first track and then I was just like, oh god damn, these are long. Like, I just didn't have the time to sit down and listen to it at the beginning of April, and then I got sidetracked and I kind of forgot about it. And this is one of those things where I am glad that the beginning of May has been quite quiet, because I discovered this epic, because this is an epic album in every sense of the word. So yeah, again, if you're not a big metal fan, then that's probably a pass for you. But if you do like metal, or just any sort of hard rock or whatever, then there's just a lot going on there. It's also one of those albums that I would say that you kind of have to listen to. Like, you can't just put it on the background, because it is just, there's so much. Like, you do have to keep one ear attuned to what is going on, if that makes sense. Otherwise, it's not worth your time. But if you can put it on and, like, actually give it half of your brain power, then you've got pretty much a full hour of one guy, probably out of Mariel. I have no idea where in Yoshkar-Ola, where he's actually from, but I'm just assuming Mariel. Anyway, a whole hour of this dude. I don't know what his recording studio smells like, but I'm guessing it is dank as a result of this album and just in general. So, yeah. Massive album. Did not expect it. Almost forgot it existed on the playlist, but I came back around to it, and now you have all of this knowledge as well. That is the album Омикрон, Эридана, from the artist Aeonus. Aeonus. Gotta be careful when you're saying that one. So, yeah, just like the most metal album artwork you can imagine. Okay. So there is actually one last thing that I want to share. And I forgot to open this before I got started because but there's one other YouTuber who here on it's a music YouTuber. It's a Russian music YouTuber, and it's somebody who recently got brought up in my feed, and I have to share this guy with you because he's absolutely delightful. I love this. I thought it was a joke at first. I'm not gonna lie, but then the content continued coming, and I started watching closely, and I realized that like this is the real deal. Like this guy is not making it up. Now I gotta, like I said, I did not plan this out properly, but yeah, we're gonna go with this one. I don't really have a he's got quite a few videos. He has 159 videos, and it is, let me go ahead and the guy here is Mikhail Tamilov, and this guy just DJs. But his mixes are so good, and he has like such deep cuts, and you can tell that he loves what he's doing. He's just like, he's having such a good time. Look at he's getting his barbecue ready. His wife will come out and like they'll take shots together, and it's just like, and then like his grandsons just sometimes run around the background. The dog is there. He'll just be in a random park at times in the city. I gotta be careful because I don't want the stream to get like janked because this is like somebody else's video, but I cannot recommend this guy enough. I don't know if I gotta get him with his sticks. He's always got his sticks or his socks, one of the two. Anyway, I'm probably gonna get like flagged from YouTube. I gotta be careful with that. But check that guy out. I will link him down below. Yeah, that is Mikhail Tamilov, and he's got like 159 mixes, and they're all like, they're just like all great. Like I haven't obviously listened to every single one of them, but every single one I've turned on and just listened to, there's not like a single, like the dude knows what he's doing and he just does it for fun. And in the wintertime, he just does these streams from his apartment, from his porch or wherever it is in the house that he's got it. And he's just having a blast. So if you're watching this, if you like electronic music or kind of dance music or something like that, or you just want like a really positive but also musical stream or channel in general, check that guy out. I will link his channel also down below. He's on, like I said, typically once a week, I think, at this point in time, although that's probably what it is. I would imagine it takes him a little bit of time to put his set lists together, kind of in the same way it takes me a little bit of time to figure out what I'm going to talk about each week. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those lovely YouTube algorithm finds that, or one of those suggestions that I was served up by the algorithm, and it was actually good. So now I'm sharing that with you, and I think we gotta give Ded, good old Dedushka Mikhail, a little bit of support out there as well too, because my dude is just living his best life, and kind of bringing us all along for the tunes and the ride. So, but yeah, I'll put that link down below as well once the stream finishes, and then yeah, I'm gonna finish the stream right now, so you'll be able to check him out in a minute of whatever. I'll be back next week with more music. I don't know. I'm hoping that tomorrow we get like a new batch, and that with the May holidays behind us and the summer not quite started, that there will be this week and next week we'll have some pretty interesting releases. But if not, I will continue scraping that barrel and going through the dredges and bringing what I can pull together to you. So, granted, it's still good. It's still good. Just, maybe not as mind-blowing as it can be. Although at the same point in time, we got the death metal tech space opera this week. So I shouldn't undersell these things. Everyone have a good evening or afternoon, whatever time of the day it happens to be where you are. You'll take care of yourselves. I will see you when I see you. And until then,